Hey everyone, today we're cracking the code on something every student feels, that huge gap between knowing the material and actually acing the exam. We're going to dive into why modern tests feel so different, and I'll give you the exact playbook to prep right and score high.
So, have you ever had this happen? You've read the textbook from cover to cover, you know your stuff, but then you get the exam and it feels like it's written in a totally different language. Well, you're not alone, and there's a really good reason for that feeling.
See, the old way of doing things was all about memorization. You read it, you remembered it, you wrote it down. Simple. But today's exams, they want way more. They're built to test if you can apply concepts, if you can analyze a situation, and if you can actually think critically. The game has totally changed from what do you know to what can you do with what you know. And that right there is why the exam can feel so disconnected from the textbook.
So here's our game plan to get you ready. First, we'll get the real story on today's exams. Then, we'll talk about why extra prep is an absolute must. After that, I'm going to walk you through an awesome toolkit of resources. Then we'll cover how to study smarter, not harder, talk about building your support system, and finally, we'll boil it all down to one simple formula for success.
All right, first up, let's pull back the curtain on modern exams. Because if you want to conquer this challenge, you've got to understand why it's not just about memorizing facts anymore.
So here's the bottom line. The focus has completely shifted to thinking and applying what you know. Just remembering facts is only the starting line. To really succeed, you have to practice using those facts. And that means getting your hands on worksheets, quizzes, and mock tests that feel like the real deal.
Okay, so how do we deal with this new reality? Well, that brings us right into Section 2, why extra prep matters. And trust me, this isn't just about getting a better grade. It's about changing your entire relationship with exams.
Just think about what that extra prep really does for you. Yeah, it boosts your scores, but that's almost a side effect. It builds real, solid confidence. And when you're confident, that awful exam fear starts to fade away. You get better at managing your time under pressure. And when you put all that together, the higher scores just naturally follow.
All right, now for the super practical stuff. Section 3 is all about your ultimate resource toolkit. Think of these next few slides as your personal, curated library. All the tools you need to get that essential practice we've been talking about.
Let's kick things off with math. You've got fantastic free options like Khan Academy, which is perfect for watching a quick lesson to clear something up before you start practicing. And for paid tools, Brilliant.org and IXL Math are amazing at turning problem solving into something you actually want to do.
For science, it's all about making it interactive. BBC Bitesize is great for breaking down the theory, but what's really cool are tools like PhET. You can literally run physics and chemistry simulations right in your browser. It helps you see the concepts in action, and the best part, it's totally free.
Moving on to social studies, these free resources are absolute powerhouses. I really want to highlight the Smithsonian Learning Lab. You can explore actual museum artifacts and primary sources online. It's an incredible way to go way beyond the textbook.
Now, for all you students on the CBSE curriculum, these are your go-to sites. I'd start with my CBSE guide for great notes and sample papers. Then use self-studies to drill yourself with important questions and answers. It's a perfect 1-2 punch for your prep. And for those of you in the Cambridge curriculum, these are your essentials. They're all great, but pay special attention to Save My Exams. Honestly, practicing with real past papers is one of the single most effective ways to get ready for the real thing. So, you've got the tools, but how do you use them without burning out? That's what Section 4 is all about. Study smarter, not harder. These are proven techniques to get the absolute most out of every single minute you study.
First up is the Pomodoro technique. This is all about laser focus. You just work in a short 25-minute sprint, then you take a 5-minute break. It's that simple. This cycle stops you from getting overwhelmed and keeps your brain fresh. After 4 rounds, you earn a longer break. Seriously, it's a game changer for getting things done.
Next, let's talk about spaced repetition. This technique is brilliant because it works with your brain's natural tendency to forget things. So instead of cramming, you review information at longer and longer intervals, like after 1 day, then a few days, then a week. Every time you do this, you're telling your brain, hey, this is important, and it locks that info into your long-term memory.
And now for what might be the most powerful technique of all. Active recall. This is the difference between watching the game and actually playing it. Instead of just passively rereading your notes, you have to actively pull the information out of your brain. Close the book and explain the concept out loud. Quiz yourself. That active retrieving is what really cements the memory.
Okay, we've got the tools and we've got the techniques. Now let's talk about the team. Section 5 is all about building your support system. Because, let's be real, success is never a solo mission.
For parents listening, your role is to be the support crew. That means creating a consistent, distraction-free space where studying can happen. The absolute key here is to encourage, not to add pressure. And remember to celebrate the small wins along the way. Progress is progress, no matter how small it seems. And for students, here are a few quick hacks for exam day. Make it a habit to revise formulas every single day. When the exam starts, knock out the easy questions first to build momentum and confidence. And always, always save the last 10 minutes for a quick review. Oh, and please get a good night's sleep. It's probably the best prep you can do.
This brings us to our final section, the formula for success. We're about to take everything we've talked about and boil it down to one simple, powerful equation.
The foundation has two parts. First, you have to study. That's your basic work from notes and classes. But that is only half the battle. You must add practice, actively using what you learned with worksheets and quizzes. This is where that active recall we talked about really comes into play. And here it is, the final, crucial piece of the puzzle. Study plus practice plus test. And by test, I mean simulating the real thing with mock exams and past papers. When you combine all three of these things, you're not just hoping for a high score. You're building a system that makes it happen.
You know, if you only take one thing away from all of this, let it be this. Success in exams isn't about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being the most prepared person in the room. Because that preparedness is what builds unshakable confidence.
So, we've covered the what, the why, and the how. You now have the full strategy and a whole toolkit of resources at your fingertips. The only question left is, what's the very first step you're going to take?